Good morning and welcome to My Left Ear. It is Sunday, November 12th, and this is video 180. I'm Carrie Freeman, and I'm the writer, producer, director of My Left Ear. This is a left-leaning political YouTube channel where I discuss the latest political news, maybe a few other things, pop culture, and I do the runes and make some predictions during many of the shows. Now, when I'm not here, I'm a change agent. I help people on a one-on-one basis. I do that through my psychic coaching and hypnotherapy, and I can do those separately. And if you have any interest in the psychic coaching or the hypnotherapy, look below and you email me, and I'll email you right back, okay? And I have a Patreon channel, which is patreon.com/Carrie Freeman. And you can go all the way back because I started this with teaching the runes, and you can visit all those tutorials, and then it goes on from there. Last week, the last couple of weeks, I've been doing some presentations on Stoicism and the issue of change, because we're all up on the issue of change. So as I disseminate information and share it with you, I want to say this is for entertainment purposes only. Now, also, it does help me if you subscribe. Of course, everybody tells you that. It does help me if you hit like and you leave comments. I really like your comments a lot. Now, I see Petey roaming around, and I'm going to see if he wants to come up and visit us, because I know everybody likes to have a look at him. Hey, Petey. Well, I opened the closet, so he's rummaging around in there. Petey, you want to come here? Come here. He might show up. We'll keep an eye out for him. All right. So right now, I want to share something very personal with you. That about a week ago, I saw a video on Twitter, and it said it had a warning, but I looked at it, and it was so horrible, and I really don't even want to describe it to you, okay? I don't want to be sensational, but it was horrible, and I couldn't stop thinking about it. Made me sick. The whole thing makes me sick. The whole thing with Gaza, Hamas, Israel makes me really sick. And I find, for the time being, it is best if I don't comment on it. It's so big, it's so complicated, and it's bleeding over into the United States, unfortunately, tragically, and now we have a spread of anti-Semitism, so forth. So if you're wondering, like, well, everybody else talks about Gaza and Hamas and Israel, why isn't Carrie? And it's simply a personal choice for my mental health, for self-care. That's my explanation. When I'm ready, if I'm ready, I will come back to it. Okay, so I'm staying within the confines right now. Because as I do, I started this channel during the quarantine, where there was hardly any stimulation. Everything was about COVID. People were sequestered, and I had I had very few pressures on me. And then all of that ended, and the world has exploded. And I'm doing my best to keep up with it. So it's quite different from when I started it to what's going on now. And I'm trying to find my personal balance with keeping this going, being informative, and maintaining my good health. I hope you understand. And please comment. Please comment. All right. So I'm going to start here. That this began with an article in the New York Times I first became aware of it through journalist Peter Baker, who's at the New York Times. And it's all, I'm sure you've heard about it by now. It's all about Trump's intention for revenge, should he win the presidency, okay? And at the beginning, when this first came out, I think last week, it didn't get a lot of traction. And then all of a sudden it started to get more and more traction on TV, in writing, et cetera, et cetera. So Trump is quoted here as saying this: it's all about revenge. It's not about helping people. Oh, there he is. Hey, Petey. Hey, Pete. So people can see your face, your beautiful face. He got groomed today, so he's real shiny and soft. So say hello and then lay down and take a nap, okay? See, we kiss, all kinds of stuff. Okay, Pete, make yourself comfortable so people can stare at you. So this is a Trump quote. If I happen to be president and I see somebody who's doing well and beating me very badly, I say, go down and indict them. They'd be out of business. They'd be out of the election. So that's a dictator. That's a fascist. And he's saying this part out loud with no shame whatsoever. And this is just one example. If you've been reading, watching things, you've probably heard about this. And every, MSNBC, I pretty much stay with MSNBC, they all admit this is freaking scary. And it is meant to be taken very seriously. He wants to do this. Just someone having an opinion makes him, I'm gonna see if I can shift this a little bit so you can kind of keep an eye on Pete. Ah, that pretty face he has. You are one beautiful boy, Pete. Okay, so now you can see him, because I know people like to see him, they tell me. So, all right, now I'm going to continue on. All right, we know about the revenge, the intention of the revenge. I take it very seriously, especially because, not everyone, occasionally I check in with other readers. I have a few that I really like a lot. And not everybody maybe agrees with me or just agrees that Trump has dementia. I personally believe, in my heart of hearts, aside from him having his own personality disorders, I firmly believe he has dementia. So that means he's going to have more outbursts, impatience, and say more violent things. He's going to incite more, okay? But there is a slow turn on him. And I'm going to start with Michigan. So Michigan's Attorney General, a woman, Dana Nessel, Democrat, tells a judge that she and the Secretary of State, Jocelyn Benson, a Democrat, they stand ready to ban Trump from the ballot in Michigan for 2024 for inciting the January 6th insurrection, if the judge there gives them the green light. But it gets even worse for Trump. The Attorney General didn't mince words, telling that judge, Your Honor, the Secretary takes her role as the state's chief elections officer very seriously, and it is her duty to ensure that Michigan's elections are conducted in accordance with the laws of the state and in a manner that preserves the integrity of that process. Now, the Secretary of State, Jocelyn Benson, stands ready to comply with whatever order the court issues in relation to the former president's eligibility to appear on the ballot. Lay down, boy. Lay down, boy. So Benson just sent the Attorney General, Dana Nessel, to tell the judge that she stands ready to ban Trump from the ballot. It's a clear indication that she has put everything in place, in order, to hold Trump responsible for inciting the insurrection in order to steal Biden's win. So this is a quote. Your Honor, the AG said, the secretary takes her role as the state's chief elections officer very seriously, and it's her duty to ensure that Michigan elections are conducted in accordance with the laws of the state. And the judge announced at the end of this hearing, and the judge is a female, that she's heard enough incriminating evidence against Donald Trump, and she is ready to make her ruling as to whether he should be banned from the ballot in the next few days. And that could be this coming week. Now, that's huge, because Michigan then may be the first state who does this, who bans him from the ballot because he's a criminal. All right. So I asked the runes, will judge rule in Michigan to remove 45 from the ballot? Did that this morning. So the first rune I got was Stand Still, which is the darkest rune in the deck. I talked about it before, and a little bit from the book says, the winter of your spiritual life is upon you. You may find yourself entangled in a situation to whose implications you are, in effect, blind. You may feel powerless to do anything except submit, surrender, even sacrifice some long-cherished desire. And that stand still is directly talking about Donald Trump. This is not good that I picked that the first time out. Well, then I got the rune of movement, which is the horse. And you would think immediately, oh, that's really positive. What does that mean? Well, normally movement is positive. It's a rune of transit, transitions, movement of physical shifts, new dwelling places, new attitudes, or a new life. And with this rune, there is a gradual development and steady progress through numerous shifts. I feel deeply, my left ear, that this movement is about the movement of his transit, of Donald Trump's transition, of his movement away from the election. So I took this as, well, that's exactly how I took it, because that's what I do. I interpret them. And then the last one I got was separation. And separation says, now is the time of separating old paths. Separating. Old skins must be shed. Trump's skin must be shed. That's my insert. Outmoded relationships discarded. It is a rune of radical severance, of peeling away. A peeling away is called for, and can bring the bounty of the universe to us. So that would be a big win if he's not allowed on the ballot. Probably go up to the Supreme Court, I would think. You know, I'm not an attorney. But I want to say that judge is going to rule for taking him off the ballot in Michigan. So I'm going on the record here, and that's what I think. Then we'll see what other states may follow, because this is not the only state that's interested. But I think it's the one we're going to hear from first. I don't know if you remember, when Michigan had such a good win, it was the governor, Gretchen Whitmer, who's pretty fantastic, and Dana Nessel and the other person that I just mentioned. I can't think of the name, and I'm not going to waste your time. All women, all Democrats, and they did a pose, like a Charlie's Angel pose when they won. It was really cool. All right. Now, I had a thing last week, all right? And the thing was like a message in my ear in the kitchen without runes. And I thought, you know what? I'm gonna bring this up. I'm gonna bring this up. And then one morning while I was putting on makeup, I was listening to Milou, who I happen to agree with a lot. And we don't talk or anything like that. I was on the show once. I had a really good time. But then I watched him and I went, oh, he's saying the same thing that my left ear was saying. And that is, if for any reason Trump can't run, and for a long time, my left ear has felt that when push comes to shove, I don't know whether it's going to be that chicken bone they talk about, or where he's just incapable. Let me just kind of put a blanket over it. He's just incapable of running, or he's not on the planet and able to run. I'm trying to be really polite here. That Nikki Haley would be the candidate. That's what I thought. And then I heard Milou say it. Hi, Milou. I don't think he watches me, but hi, Milou. And I went, oh my God, we're kind of agreeing on, we're agreeing on this. So then I decided to bring it up. So I ran some runes. What did I run? 2 runes on Nikki Haley. If Trump cannot run for any reason, will Nikki Haley be chosen to run against Joe Biden? So I got the first rune I got was the rune of wholeness. Wholeness involves the impulse towards self-realization, and that would be Nikki Haley. This is what she wants. This is what she's dreaming of, to run for president. So this is about her wholeness and desiring it. And through wholeness, a new, stronger, more solid and higher foundation is created via, this is my writing, a new candidate. Okay? Now, my left ear, she won't beat Biden. She won't beat him. All right? That's my left ear. I'm not even throwing runes on it. But this is a great rune of power, marking life force. And it can allude to a regeneration down to the cellular level. And the regeneration would be having this unexpected woman run for the GOP for president. That would be like, whoa, a whole new ball game. Even a little refreshing, because it won't be Donald Trump. Then I pulled the warrior, the spiritual warrior in reverse, which indicates what I just said. She won't win, but it will certainly be a different and somewhat refreshing race. So it says, danger. Through hasty or ill-timed action, life force can leak out or be spilled, and that's her. That's not Biden's life force. That's Nikki Haley's life force. She may not be able to handle it, but if an association is short-lived, do not grieve, Nikki. Know that it has fulfilled its span. You were supposed to jump in and run. You're not going to make it. But it does advise her, examine your motives carefully and be careful, Nikki, about lusting after the outcome. So that's what I have to say there, and we will see. We will see. For just forever, I've had a hard time seeing him making it to the race, Trump. And that's been going on with me for a long time. Sounds like, I don't want to speak for him, but it kind of got that same impression when I listened to Milou. All right, now I'm gonna go to Tuesday's election results, and you're all aware of it, but it's very significant. And one of the most significant things that happened was Moms for Liberty lost. This is the right-wing Moms for liberty, parental rights, the group advocating a hard line for anti-woke agenda, the books, American schools. Well, these chicks lost all the way down ballot. Not one of them are voted into a school board seat. Can I tell you how fantastic that is? I hope you're like appreciating how fantastic that is. I hate these women. All right, now we're gonna go on to Virginia and another governor I dislike, Governor Youngkin, who wears these little puffer vests so he looks like an everyday guy and he looks homey and friendly. He's not. So Ohio was incredible this year because the people voted abortion rights, women's health, choice. They voted it into their state's constitution. They codified it into their state's constitution. Plus, what do they call it? Recreational cannabis, like California has and Illinois has and a lot more states. So that is very powerful for Ohio that those things happen, but I'm focusing on choice right now. So Ohio, this isn't me, I'm reporting this too. Election results for the Virginia legislature over the past few election cycles have been shown to correlate with what happens in the following year's national elections, and that would be 2024. So a good showing for either party Tuesday bodes well for that party for next year, okay? Now, what's happening, and the outrageousness of it, we shouldn't be surprised, is that the Ohio Republicans are forming some kind of coalition to prevent this abortion thing to go through. They want to ignore the people's votes. They want to blame it on some kind of Russian or something infiltration. They can't. They really don't have ability to just ignore a legal referendum, but they're going to try and play games with this. But it shows us the Republicans now are really demonstrating they don't believe in the rule of law. If the Democrats win anything, then there must be a problem. It's not really the people. The people are stupid. Let's ignore the people. So one of the biggest strategies the Republicans rely on, and this is, I'm reading from, I should have given him credit, the Palmer report. Bill Palmer is on Twitter. He's amazing. He's one of my favorite, and he doesn't come on and talk. He writes, and he writes almost every day. So Palmer says, why are the Ohio Republicans saying they'll just ignore the abortion referendum? And he says, sure, we always knew that they were going to try to play games like this. It's not as if Republicans believe in the rule of law anymore. He's being sarcastic, but it's not as if they have magical, omnipotent powers that allow them to just ignore the referendum without a massive legal pushback. Hear that loud and clear. A massive legal pushback. But one of the biggest strategies the Republicans rely on is that they always declare a victory at the end of every battle, no matter what. And in the hope of tricking you into thinking there's no reason to even fight the battle. They don't want us to fight the battle. It's not going to happen. So the advice is constantly remind yourself that Republicans are always lying. Always. This is Bill Palmer. They're not just lying about the issues. They're not just lying about their own records and their positions. They're also lying about the magical power that they have. And your job, our job, is to see through all of this and remember that these Republicans are mere mortals, and remember just how powerless they become when we fight and we win. I really like Bill Palmer. If you're on Twitter, sign up and read Bill Palmer. So let me just see. But this, as I said to you a minute ago, the Ohio vote success is encouraging other states. All right. So this is starting a little dominoes thing, dominoes thing. Now in Kentucky, the incumbent governor, Andy Beshear, Democrat, won again. He's been very vocal about pro-choice, and he won. And then I wish I had the person who said this, whoever it was, they said, let them know that the Kentucky governor's race has predicted the presidential election in the previous 5 cycles. Andy Beshear is great. He's great. And he's going to keep fighting for abortion rights. I like the word choice. I like women's health care. It's all the same. And there is progress, but there's always going to be this 2 steps forward, 1 step back. Oh, we have to stop and go to the Supreme Court. But this is like a bit of a wave. Now, the other thing that really sends me to the moon in a happy way is that this election that showed very promising for Joe Biden and the Democrats is hitting, just as I call him, Pastor Mike Johnson, the Speaker of the House, because he's really just a pastor or a minister or a wannabe. He's so radical. He's so basic South Baptist radical. Not just like a Christian. There's many nice Christians out there. Not Speaker Mike, Pastor Mike. So this is like almost pushing a little pie in his face. Like, oh yeah, little Mike? You see what just happened after you became speaker? The people spoke. The people spoke. They will continue to speak, and people will not like you. So this is very anti-Mike Johnson, the speaker / pastor. Think he's going to be gone before the election next year. I didn't do runes on it. We'll talk about that more. But I do want to tell you, this is very important. James Carville, who, boy, I just can't remember what James Carville's position was with, was it Obama or was it Clinton? I'm kind of embarrassed. It might be Clinton, but James Carville, he's very smart and he's very hokey and down home, and everybody listens to him when he speaks. Well, he made a YouTube that I just discovered yesterday, and the YouTube, and he's got a whiteboard and he's got a pointer, and he's giving us a lesson about Speaker Pastor Mike Johnson. And it's very important because he says, I want everybody to know who this guy is and where he comes from. And I put the link to James Carville's little presentation in the community section. Just click and watch it. It'll show you how deep Pastor Mike's tentacles are into this crazy uber Christian radical Christo-fascism. All women have to have 1 baby for the workforce and all kinds of things. Anyway, please watch it. So I'm not going to repeat anything James Carville said right now. Now, I don't know if you know this, but there's this GOP congressman named James Comer, and he's been, like a little foot soldier for Trump, and trying to get the good, trying to impeach Joe Biden, trying to go after Hunter Biden, and he keeps coming up empty, looking like a jerk. Now he's going after Hunter Biden and taxes. But Eric Swalwell, who's so smart, and who also has a great sense of humor, and he fights, when he fights really good. Eric Swalwell's a really good cage fighter. Love the guy, Democrat, of course. He has requested officially James Comer's taxes. And it turns out the only taxes that James Comer has shared are for 2 years. And in the request, Congressman Swalwell says, as opposed to Joe Biden, who's released 25 years of his taxes. So now they're cornering James Comer because he's, you know, like everybody, like Jim Jordan, they're taking orders from Donald Trump, the shadow president. I hate saying that, but he's acting like the shadow president, and they're acting like he's the shadow president. And he's calling them up, do this, do that, obstruct this, sue this person, subpoena that person, and they're just doing it like lap dogs. But Eric Swalwell did this. Good for you. Now, let's talk for a minute about Judge Aileen Cannon. I call her Loose Cannon, or Lucy Cannon. It appears that she's keeping her options open to moving Trump's court date regarding Florida and the documents. Right now, to the best of my ability, it's set for May, and she's sort of like mysteriously keeping her options open. Well, that can affect other trial dates to the best of my ability. Now, if you know something different, let me know. It's pretty confusing right now, what's going on. Some people think this is pretty innocent on her part. She's just being judicious and cautious. Other people think she's playing games. May we please acknowledge that Trump has never, ever criticized Lucy Cannon. And she is from the Federalist Society. And we don't know who she's taking advice from. Well, do this now. We'll postpone it. We'll do that. Let's postpone it. Because it is thought that the documents case is a slam dunk. It's the easiest case to prove. That said, my left ear thinks that Jack Smith is going to be triumphant in March when he goes to trial. So we're going to keep an eye. But I did pull the runes because I keep wondering if she's going to slip up so much that she's going to be replaced. And I have a feeling that's what Jack Smith wants to do, and he might be preparing a brief about that. Again, to the 11th something appellate court, which slammed her down before. But I pulled this one rune, and it was about the self, but it was in the reversed position, about Judge Aileen Lucy Cannon being replaced. And it says, perhaps you are at a time when you need to reconsider your situation, Lucy. It is difficult to find one's place in the world. And if you are blocked, this rune urges you to begin by being clear with yourself. Do not turn to others like the Federalist Society, but look inside, in silence, for the enemy of your progress. You will recognize, Judge Lucy, that the outer enemy is but a reflection of what you have not, until now, have been able to recognize is coming from within. So she's at war with herself, or she should be, if she has any scruples at all. And it suggests, break the momentum of your past habits, sweetie. That's your challenge. Get honest. Go with the law. Don't be a partisan judge hack. I think there's a chance she could be replaced, and I think Jack Smith and his people are working on that brief and suggestion. We will see. And then the last thing I want to share with you is there was a roundtable Tuesday night of all the MSNBC pundits, Rachel and Nicole and Lawrence O'Donnell and all that. And Lawrence O'Donnell was actually very funny at this roundtable. And he said that the most valuable player of the night at the debates on Tuesday was Vivek Vaswamy. And he was the MVP for making the other candidates look okay. It's pretty funny. And everybody laughed. Everybody laughed because Vivek is really horrible, and I don't like Nikki Haley. I don't trust Nikki Haley. She'll change on a dime. One week, she was totally for a federal ban on abortion, and Tuesday night, I can't watch these people, but Tuesday night, she openly said, listen, we can't let this divide us. We have to find us, like, oh, really, Nikki? You just pivoted a little bit, didn't you, sweetheart? So that's what I think of her. But she did call him a scum, and I want to say, you know what? Vivek is scum. So, the good evidence from this past week is what happened in Ohio, what's happening in Michigan, Kentucky. What I didn't say, it's just hitting me right now, what I failed to say about Glenn, Virginia, and Glenn Youngkin, whatever his name is. Glenn Youngkin was planning on having a great triumph with his Senate and his Congress, so he could whip up these abortion reforms. And now, in Virginia, what Glenn Youngkin got was a Democratic Senate and a Democratic House. Hello, he won't be able to do nothing. So that vest didn't get you very far, Glenn. All right, now I'm going to go back to the end of this because that was important to say. All right, so here's good evidence. Tuesday night, yes. But I found a little story. I made it really short, but I want to share it with you. I found a man named Bobby Wilson who's retired, and he's a specialist in urban agriculture. He's a veteran. And he's all about facilitating change through his own community farm project, which he has invested his own retirement money in. And it's called Metro Atlanta Urban Farm. And he is helping marginalized families, ethnic families, grow their own produce sustainably. He hosts educational events for volunteers, teaches locals the value of healthy eating and growing, and promotes equity for farmers of color. And I want to say yes to Bobby Wilson. Good work, Mr. Wilson. And then I found a quote last week that comes from the military. I went, oh my God. And I wrote this down. And this is just 3 words. And I wrote them down. I went, oh my God. Okay, here are the 3 words. Improvise, adapt, overcome. And then the rest I read off of Google. Those 3 words are an official slogan among the U.S. Army Marines, and that was made popular by Clint Eastwood's character of Sergeant Thomas Highway in the movie Heartbreak Ridge. That's where it kind of became famous. Improvise, adapt, overcome. And it suggests that being faced with a challenge is often the time when people are most inventive where they have the most ingenuity and creativity, and they thrive. That's just very enervating, isn't it? So next time you come up against like a challenge, a crisis, think of those 3 words: improvise, adapt, overcome. Very positive. So there you go. That is it. I'll turn this towards Pete. He's now in a full-blown sleep, and he's turned away from us, so you just see that big black body of his. So there you go. I will speak to you soon. I hope you enjoyed this, and make peace, make memory, and remember that last video I made. I got really close, and one of the last things I said was, guys, ignore the polls. And we had good results. So let's continue to do that. All right, bye-bye. See you soon. Have a great Sunday. I have company from out of town, and I gotta go. Bye-bye.